we're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
If you talk about how much you hate your fat, your body has been working all this time to keep you alive.
I don't think anybody in my circle understands it.
What's going on, AHA family? Chris James here. Today we are going to do things just a little bit different. I wanted to change it up a little bit. But before we get into the primary content, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button. Also, join our free membership on ahacommunities.com. Subscribe, join the membership. It's free. Like, do all that. All right, so today we're going to go to Google. And the reason I wanted to do this is because if you guys have been following me on Instagram, a.healthy.alternative on Instagram, I've been reposting a lot of content, and I love how the way the reels are getting a lot of views and everything right now, where I can very quickly share insight from another creator, information that I agree with or that I verified through my studies. And one of the things that's reoccurring with this information that I'm reposting is how toxic our processed food is. Now, obviously, I've been talking about toxic food, toxic processed food for as long as this channel has existed. But one thing that I have found that's very common is a lot of these foods actually target our children. I want you all to take a second when you go into the grocery store. Next time you go into the grocery store, go into the cereal aisle, go into the candy aisle, go into different aisles and look at what is visible, right? Where they got the processed foods. Look at what is visible at the eye level of a child. And I want you to think about what goes behind the thought process when they're laying out their shelves. Now, when it comes to like fruits and vegetables, those stands, if you think about the fruits and vegetables, the produce, where the stand begins is usually like above the eye level of a child. So a child can't even really see fruits and vegetables. Like if you just think about it, like go to Whole Foods or Kroger's or wherever you guys shop and look at like 3-4-year-old children and think about where their eye level would be. They can't really see too well on top of the fruits and vegetables. But you go in the cereal aisle, you go in the snack aisle, or other various aisles, you will see what is being advertised to the children, And there's a lot of psychology that goes into how they lay out the shelves, how they advertise. It's not, nothing is done by happenstance. So it got me thinking. I was like, you know what? Let me Google. I want to Google what are healthy foods for children. What are healthy foods for children? All right, let's have a look here. So obviously at the top, we've got our sponsored things, which these are the people who've paid money to be here. So you've got healthy eating tips for children. This is from Pediasure. Then you've got Danimals, which is a nutritious snack for children. Let's see here. Let's go down a little bit further. Okay. You've got a good, this one's decent, right? The healthy 10 of the healthiest foods for children. It's decent. You've got yogurt, you've got beans, you've got eggs, you've got avocados, sweet potatoes, milks, nuts, seeds, whole grains. So this looks good. This looks really good. However, yogurt, dairy product. Now, in America, yogurt is probably different from a lot of different countries because you have to consider the raw materials yogurt is made with. You have to consider what the cow ingests in order to manufacture the milk that turns into the yogurt. You also have to consider the dyes that go into yogurt. the added sugar that goes into yogurt, the processed fruit and things that go into yogurt. So, although yogurt sounds like a healthy food product, in reality, yogurt is actually very bad for a lot of people, especially when we're getting it store bought, especially when we live in America. So, that's actually not a healthy food product. Then you have beans. Now, beans have been touted as healthy food products for tens of years. And I think that natural beans, if you actually grow beans in your garden, you pluck them off the you pluck them off the beanstalk and you cook them, yes. Or even if you eat them right off the beanstalk, because a lot of people don't realize beans are really designed to be eaten right off the beanstalk. Yes, that's cool. But this is not what we're talking about here, right? This is not what people buy. We buy bag beans, we buy a lot of dry beans, and you have to think there is processing that happens to your beans. Also, the plants are being sprayed with pesticides. Um, there's this old uh, it's a song, beans, beans, good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. Beans give people gas. What does that mean? What is that actually saying? It is digestive issues. It's slow bowel movements. The body, the you might not have the bacteria to break the beans down. So it's not digesting well. So beans can kind of go either way, I would say. But I think the way that we typically eat beans is unhealthy. And then also, you guys got to look at your own health. When you're eating beans, how are they affecting you? Now, eggs, obviously, eggs is a staple in America. And I think 100 years ago, when everybody had their own garden or farm and their own chickens, eggs were an amazing staple. However, if you are not sourcing your eggs properly, if you're just going to Kroger, if you're just going to Food Line, Kressler, or whatever, Publix, whatever you guys have, and you're just grabbing a 12 pack of eggs, it's probably a poisonous food, right? It's probably toxic. We got to think once again, what are the chickens being fed? A lot of them they're being fed grains, which oddly enough is on this list. They're being fed grains. And what's happening with the grains? Well, if you look at wheat over the past 50 years to 100 years, wheat is completely different. Genetically, if you compare wheat today versus wheat 100 years ago, it looks different, it grows different. It's a completely different product in America. In other countries, you may find that grains are still pretty healthy. I can't really speak on every country, but in America and most modern societies, because we're importing and exporting a lot of these foods, there's pesticides sprayed on the crops, and so grains aren't great. They're actually not good for you at all. Celiac disease. A lot of people are getting these diseases and stuff, and it's because of the genetic modification of grains, and it's also the pesticides being sprayed on grains. So it sounds like a good product. It used to be a good product, but it's not anymore. But they're feeding the chickens these grains. In addition to that, a lot of the chickens are genetically modified to grow faster. They want them to grow faster, bigger, have more meat on them so they can sell them at a higher price and get more yield out of them. What does this do? Stresses the chicken's body. So now the chickens grow malformities. They get all kinds of diseases. They start to form pus and they develop cancer and tumors, and all of this stuff is being passed on through the egg. So yeah, not as great as it used to be. Now, avocados, obviously, I'm a big fan of avocados. You have to be careful still where you source avocados, but I'm not going to bash avocados too much. It always is going to boil down to where you source the food. I do encourage you guys to go to local or organic farmers if you can. Obviously, avocados are a little bit more challenging to get that locally everywhere, but farmers markets are good places to get fresh produce and things of that nature. Same thing goes for sweet potatoes. I mean, these are decent. These are very decent options. Okay. Number 6 on the list, milk. Now, unless we're talking about an alternative milk, that we're not even having a discussion. Milk, for the same reason yogurt is bad, milk is bad. As a matter of fact, recently they changed the standard for milk to allow more bacteria in the milk because there was so much bacteria and disease in the milk, they couldn't get it down far enough. So what the United States government did in all of its wisdom, they said, okay, well, we're going to raise the standard of allowable disease in the actual, bacteria and stuff in the milk so that, the milk can pass, because none of the milk can pass. But you got to think, why? Why can't the milk pass the standards? Well, you're raping the cows. So the cows aren't there, they don't have a natural process of, getting pregnant, having a baby, and then maybe there's time in between getting pregnant again. No, it's they keep them pregnant as consistently as possible, gives them a better yield. Well, what does this do? Well, eventually it irritates the udders. The udders start to become inflamed. They start to get all kinds of, scar tissue. So now blood is getting in the milk, bacteria is getting in the milk. Then they give the animals antibiotics. They give them all these different treatments to try to get that big bacteria down. Then once the milk is extracted from the cow, they use another round of treatment to try to get the bacteria down. They bleach it to get the blood out of it because there's a lot of blood in the milk. It looks pink coming out, really. And so now you have a product. It's not even organic anymore. You think, oh, it's coming from a cow. I mean, I guess it's no different from processed juice, right? Tropicana juice it comes from an orange. I mean, I guess like 5% of it comes from concentrated juice, I suppose, if you could call it that. So nuts and seeds are pretty good, obviously, if you source them well, and we already considered whole grains. So this first list is really it's it's not giving what it should. Let's see. Okay, healthy foods for kids. Let's see, grilled vegetables, salad, baked potato, corn on the cob, apple slices. Be smart about fat. Okay, cool. Okay, here's another one. Nutritional food, nutrition for kids, guideline for healthy diet. Protein, choose seafood, lean meat, poultry, eggs, beans, peas, soy products, unsalted nuts, fruit. Encourage your child to eat a variety of whatever. We're not going in here. Seafood. Most seafood is toxic for various reasons. And I'm not here to pick on all the food. But here's the thing. As an adult, if you want to eat seafood, go for it. You have a fully functional immune system. You are fully capable of making your own choices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For a child that still has a developing immune system, that still, is learning about what's healthy and what's not, still learning how to communicate what they think and feel, I think it's important to be very vigilant and intentional about what we allow our children to eat. So I would not allow my child to eat seafood because, number one, let's just say you think you're getting a redfish, right? You like redfish, you've researched it, you think it's good. Well, if you do deeper research, what you'll find is a lot of the fish that is being sold to us in the supermarket is not the actual fish that it claims to be, right? And for various reasons. But the main reason is who's actually monitoring that this fish, that this fillet that they say comes from a redfish is actually coming from a redfish. Who is actually monitoring that? There's no one to actually monitor it. So it's the wild, wild west. Maybe it's a redfish, maybe it's a tilapia. I mean, obviously, people who are fish connoisseurs, they could tell the difference between different flesh of different fish. But for a lot of people who don't know, maybe you've never even had redfish, maybe you've never had cod, maybe you've never had flounder, maybe you don't know what these meats taste like. So the wool can be very easily pulled over your eyes. Also, if you go to a restaurant and buy it, it's already cooked. You have no idea what it is, right? So I like to look at things better safe than sorry. There's obviously some things on this list we already touched on. It talks about lean meat, poultry, beans, eggs, soy products, bro. Soy products. Okay. I understand there's an argument for soy being healthy. Okay. I consume a little bit of soy as well, but I'd say I consume a little bit of soy because it's in pretty much everything. I know that other cultures use a lot of soy. Tofu is one of the most popular soy products that we have. But here's the thing. Are you getting organic soybean products or are you getting GMO soybean products? Are you getting something that's been heavily sprayed with pesticides or are you getting something that was grown in a natural environment? With the genetically modified soy, and I've talked about this before, George Washington Carver genetically modified soy. This is history. You guys can look this up in order to replace plastic. Okay. So you have to understand that, yes, There's an organic version of soy, there's a natural version of soy, but is that what you're getting? Most soy contains artificial estrogen. A lot of the soy products have artificial estrogen. And in America and in many other places in the world, we deal with estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance in men and women. It causes women to have fibroids, it causes men to have low testosterone. I mean, it is a huge problem, and you find it in the soy products. And I don't believe that a natural soy product would do this. I think that this is the work of artificial soy. This is a product that's been manipulated and is not being used for the intended purpose, right? If you manipulate a plant in order to turn it into a product that you use to manufacture cars and boards and and products that you're not going to consume, okay, that might make sense, that might be sustainable, that there's reasons why that might make sense. But the problem is they're putting a lot of this stuff in our food, and then this is on a nutritional guide for children from the Mayo Clinic, right? So we've got these quote unquote trusted entities, and they're suggesting that we give our children these food products. Let's go on. Let's see what else we got here. Um, I saw I saw when I looked this up the other day, I saw something that was encouraging children to eat like fruit snacks and chips and all kinds of stuff. So these I will say that these particular guides aren't that bad. Um, I'm gonna give you guys an example of what I would suggest. Okay, so what would I suggest for children to eat? We're developing their immune system. We want foods that have contain um, organic minerals. We want foods that are high in water content. We want foods that are minimally processed. We want foods that contain little to no refined sugars. I personally would just say no. I mean, 90%, 95% of what a child eats should contain no refined sugars. You don't want to damage their taste buds. You don't want to put them on that path of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and I mean, honestly, you want to be preparing foods at home as much as possible. I would also say foods that are raw. I would put that at the top of my list. So we saw nuts and seeds. Raw nuts and seeds are great, as well as fruit, grapes, watermelon. A lot of people will tell me, "Oh, my children, they just won't eat. They won't eat healthy. They won't eat salads. They won't eat this and that. They'll only eat chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese and pizza." Well, guess what? Here's the harsh reality. They can only eat that stuff because you gave it to them. Children don't a 3-year-old doesn't have the ability to go to the store and buy what they want. They don't even really understand the concept of money, most of them at that age. So how did they get access to these foods that you claim they would only eat? Children will eat what you give them. And I know a lot of people think, "Oh, my child's a picky eater." Yeah, I understand that. People are picky eaters. Guess what? People want things that taste good. One of the biggest issues with fruits and vegetables is they don't taste good. And it's not because they're not good for you, and it's not because they're not supposed to taste good. It's because a lot of our stuff is void of the minerals, and they've been processed, they've been sprayed, they've been colored. They've essentially had all of the goodness of them extracted. And so, yeah, it's not good. These are your children. This is your seed. This is your future. Do your due diligence. Find sources of healthy, good food that tastes good so that your children are going to be interested in eating it. You're not interested in eating a pineapple that has no flavor either. It's just like water. It's like, you know, I would rather eat a cookie too versus a flavorless pineapple. We have to start making our own food again. We have to go back to what our ancestors were doing and what they were teaching. Maintain your own garden, have your own animals. Make that a priority. I understand people have lives. Oh, I got to work, I got to do this. Everything is more important than your health until you're on that table. Once you're on that operating table, everything comes to a halt. And what I'm trying to get you all to do and understand is that your health starts today before you ever get sick. we have to focus on preventative care. It starts by instilling certain characteristics into our children. We want to make sure our children lean towards the fruits and vegetables, fresh juice, water, herbal teas. You can teach your children to enjoy this stuff, but you have to first adopt it as a practice. Children often are going to do what you do, not what you say. So if you're eating pizza and hamburgers and shellfish, that's what they're going to want to eat as well. If they see you eating strawberries and pineapples and mangoes and making raw foods and things, they're going to want to eat that as well. It's just that's how children learn. So we have to take the programming of our young children, right? I'm talking 7 or earlier. We have to take that programming very seriously. Stop allowing your schools to program your children. I've told this story before. I used to be an electrician. I worked on several schools. During the summer times, we would always have these school jobs. So I'm working in the cafeteria this one particular day. They have an ice cream machine. And the ice cream machine just has regular ice cream. This isn't like some type of healthy nut-based. It's just regular Hershey's ice cream. And on the vending machine, there's a nutritional fact talking about, and all this propaganda. Eat smart, eat healthy. That all on this ice cream vending machine. Now, if you as an adult went in there, you would be like, "What is this nonsense?" You would know that's wrong. But as a child that's being developed and essentially susceptible, they don't necessarily know that that's wrong. They may believe it. There are children today that don't know where meat comes from because they've only ever seen it come out of a can. So we have to be diligent about what our children are consuming. Be careful about trusting schools. What a lot of parents should be doing, especially at these PTA meetings and things, y'all should be walking to school. Look at the propaganda that's on the walls, the hallways of your schools, especially in the lunchroom. But y'all should be walking those halls. Hey, what is this? Hey, what is that? Things you don't agree with, that should be brought up in those PTA meetings to the superintendent or to the city. Whoever needs to hear it. You guys should get together. You should make sure that the children are not being misled. Because when I was a youngster, I would eat the cereal, and while I was eating my bowl of cereal, I'd look at the back of the box of the cereal, and what they have on there, the food pyramid. And the food pyramid had all of this misinformation about how I should eat. Why? Well, if I'm a cereal manufacturer, if I manufacture cereal and the primary ingredient for cereal is grains, doesn't it make sense that on my food pyramid I have grains at the bottom? Right? When you look at a food pyramid, the things at the top you eat the least of, the things at the bottom you eat the most of. Duh, I manufacture cereal. There's no way that I would put grains at the top saying, hey, eat the least amount of grains, bread, pasta. We want to put that at the bottom. That's our product. So what my parents should have done is they should have looked at the back of those cereal boxes, say, hey, Chris, it's fine. You could read this for, entertainment purposes, whatever. But just so you know, this food pyramid is BS. You really need to be eating the most you need to be eating as a human being is fruit. Raw fruit is our food. It's our natural food resource, right? And then you should build your pyramid up from there. And then also back in that time, they were demonizing fat. So fat was probably closer to the top of the food pyramid, right? And then what were they pushing? I can't believe it's not butter and margarine and all of these alternative butters that we still consume today. Like this stuff has been killing us for 2 decades and we still eat it. We consume it like it's fine. And now it's leached over into the vegan community. So now we have these fake processed vegan butters. And this is why veganism, you got to be careful with that stuff, man. There's a lot of fake processed foods, sprinkled into that vegan diet. That's why people have so many problems when they go vegan. So anyway, I just wanted to point this out. This list wasn't too bad. When I looked the other day, I was like, bro, I mean, like I said, they have fruit snacks and there was a study, and I think they're doing some new food pyramid where they're saying that like Frosted Flakes are healthier than fruit. It's absolutely insane. watch out for your children, man. I just wanted to put this information out there and make sure everybody was aware of it, because, you know, when we're parents and we're like working and we're, you know, we've got our relationship between, you know, ourselves and our spouse, and, you know, other things going, got health issues, got to deal with insurance and all this. It's easy to forget about your youngster, and make sure that, you know, in preschool, they're being taught the right things. Because do not be deceived, y'all. Who your child is going to be is greatly defined by what they learn between 0 and 7 years old. So hopefully this was informative. Make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Join us on ahacommunities.com. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. I will see you all next time.